What is going on, people? LP2000 right back at you with another X Plus figure review. And yes, welcome back on behalf of Summit Kaiju to Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews. And today I'll be taking a look at the X Plus 30cm Mechagodzilla 1993 from the Heisei Godzilla film, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, or just Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. How do y'all pronounce that, or how do you name that film? You know, it has a lot of different names, or does it? Whatever, that's beside the point. Yes, welcome back. I really appreciate y'all being here for this review. Yes, this is a very awesome figure, you know what I mean? Yes, one of the solid releases of this year, 2017. You know, we do things around here. Let's get into the box before we get into the figure, but as you can see, there's no box. Well, there's a reason for that, and Christopher, I'm sorry. I know you like my box tosses and stuff like that, but I'm sorry. I'm getting to the point now where I have to trash my boxes. You know what I mean? I've been trying to fight it off for a while. Trust me, as collectors, we're all going to get there at some point. You know what I mean? When you accumulate a whole bunch of boxes and, you know, space is kind of limited. You know what I mean? Now, mind you, I'm not running out of space like that, but I'm starting to take a look at the big picture here. I know as time goes on, I will collect more figures and more valuable pieces. And it comes down to it. Do you want space for a valuable kaiju piece or a box? You know what I mean? And I'm not in the mood of really trying to cut the artwork and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Don't want to do that. So I'm just trashing them all together because really it's the figure that what counts, or what matters most. You know what I mean? But it was a typical Mechagodzilla, you know, 30cm box. You know, it was blue, had a picture of Mechagodzilla on it. His name, Mechagodzilla 1993, I believe. Kind of like the 30cm Mechagodzilla 1974 or the 1975 boxes. Made basically in the same image, you know, with the blue and a picture of the figure at the front. So that's pretty much it with the box. Once again, I'm sorry to all my box fans out there, but hey, like I said, we're going to come to that point. You know, you just have to just make a decision. Do you want the box or you rather have space for a new figure? You made that decision. But yes, this is a great figure. And let's go into the backstory because this is has a long backstory in a way. This figure is basically almost 2 years in the making. It just came out, I think, around July of this year, going into August. And like I said, it's 2 years in the making. The first we ever heard or anything about this figure, because mind you, this is like the last remaining Mechagodzilla incarnation that needed to be made from X Plus. X Plus has made every single other incarnation of Mechagodzilla from 74, 75, the first version of Kiryu, the second version of Kiryu, but Mechagodzilla 93 was the last remaining member of that roster that has not been made yet until now. So in 2015, I want to reference an interview that the great John Stanowski from KaijuAddicts.com, yes, go to that website, and his YouTube channel, you'll not be disappointed. He did an interview with the man, the creative force behind X Plus. We all know him, we all love him, G. Yakamoto. And he had an interview, he did an interview with him and was asking him questions, you know, about X Plus, what could we expect from the future, yada. And he did say that he wanted to make Mechagodzilla sometime in the next year, you know, and that was back in 2015. Fast forward to the Summer Wonder Festival show in 2016. I think in late July, we did see a prototype of this figure. You know, it wasn't painted, but it was sculpt. You know, it was the sculpt. You know what I mean? We saw it, so we knew there was firm confirmation that Mechagodzilla 1993 was on its way. Then we saw it painted at a couple of shows this year. You know what I mean? And it was finally released late July, going to August. I have the standard. The Rip Boy comes with Garuda, you know, the flying ship from the film. Garuda permanently attached to the back of Mechagodzilla, as well as his port for the plasma grenade, you know what I mean, to create Super Mechagodzilla. I wanted the standard because, honestly, I'm not a big fan of Garuda. As a matter of fact, I'm not a real big fan of the movie. You know what I mean? I will touch on that later on. But yes, I wanted the standard, you know, and it really is a great piece. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's one of the last, it's the last remaining Mechagodzilla incarnation that needed to be made. And also I want to reference Mr. Okamoto in that same interview that John Sinowski did with him, that in that same statement that he said he wanted to make Mechagodzilla, which is now a reality now, he said also in that same statement that he wants to make a Heisei King Ghidorah. So, you know, just something to think about. Trust me, I think we're going to get there at some point with the Heisei King Ghidorah. Matter of fact, he's like the last remaining villain to be made from the Heisei era. So trust me, it's on its way. You just have to be patient with it. But until then, this is a solid release. Really is. Mechagodzilla 1993 is not my favorite version of Mechagodzilla. As a matter of fact, I like more so the figure than the actual character itself. You know what I mean? And that's another thing I always say. Don't let your disdain of a character or a film stop you from collecting a kaiju, you know, masterpiece. And this really is a kaiju masterpiece. Even though it's not up there as far as my favorites, it's still a great piece to acquire and have in your collection. So, you know, do things around here. Let's get up close and personal with the latest and final installment of the X Plus Mechagodzilla roster, Mechagodzilla 1993 from Godzilla from Mechagodzilla 2, 93, or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Let's get up close and personal. Okay, folks, up close and personal with Mechagodzilla 1993 from the Heisei era. Yes, this really is an awesome piece. You know, I think I said that like 3 or 4 times already, but you get the idea. That's what I do. This will be short and simple, up close and personal. You know what I mean? There's not much really to him. The sculpt is very incredible. Let's start off with the feet first. I've heard that to be a major criticism when we first saw the prototype pictures of this Mechagodzilla, the fact that the feet was kind of big. You know, I don't think so. I think that the feet were, at least now, they're perfect. Because you got to realize, during the Heisei era, Godzilla, since Mechagodzilla is based off the Heisei version of Godzilla, Godzilla's feet, everything about Godzilla was somewhat exaggerated. It was bigger, you know, because he was bigger in all proportions from his Showa films. You know what I mean? You know, he had a longer tail. They increased the dorsal, the amount of dorsal plates on his back. You know, he was just bigger, as well as his feet. You know, so I think they got it right. You know, the paint job is very nice. You know, it has a chrome silver finish to it. You know, just an awesome paint scheme all over his body here. You know, dorsal plates looks really good. You know what I mean? And when I look at the dorsal plates, it makes me even that much more frustrated with X Plus with the Rip Boy option, because clearly that was a money grab. Clearly they were trying to get you to buy both. Because if you're unaware on how the Rip Boy works, like I mentioned, it comes with Garuda on his back, as well as the plasma grenade port on his belly. But the Garuda was, it could be taken off, mind you, it can, but it would expose Mechagodzilla's back right here. You know, so you can display Garuda off, but it wouldn't look right because Mechagodzilla's back would be exposed. It'll be have you know, the holes where the attached Garuda would go into. What I thought what they should have done was maybe provided with an alternate back plate. That way you can cover up the holes. That way, if you don't want to have Garuda on your Mechagodzilla, you can have that option, but yet still provide that alternate back plate with dorsal plates. That way you can alternate between Rip Boy and standard. You know what I mean? I mean, of course, with the plasma grenade, it would have been fixed on the figure anyway, so it wouldn't make much of a difference because, you know, We saw the plasma grenade on this version of Mechagodzilla, you know, even without Garuda earlier on in the film, so that still could have worked. But clearly that was a pit move on X Plus part. You know, X Plus is a great company. They do great things. They make great kaijus, you know. It's a wonderful company. But there are times where they could be pimps, and that was a pimp move. And I know some people that did get both, you know, and power to you. You know what? I'm not above getting both. I'm not above getting both Rick and Standard of the same figure. You know what I mean? But like I mentioned, this is like my least favorite version of Mechagodzilla. That's why I didn't want to go after both. But I'm glad that I was able to get my hands on one anyway. Sculpt is popping. The paint job is popping. Articulation is off the chart with this guy. His mouth can open and close, which I really, really like. I like to keep mine open, you know. I just like that. You know, his arms can move like this, you know, whatever. I think his hands can move. His legs don't move, you know what I mean? So that's kind of like, it's not really a bad thing, because it's not like you're going to be playing around with these figures or mess around with them as you do with the SH Monster Arts figures that have tons of articulation. Really, these figures don't need it. You know, they're just mini statues, so it's not really necessary here. But it looks really, really good. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's very simple and straightforward. He's very massive. He runs at least 33 to 34 inches. Not inches. Inches, yeah. No, not 34 inches. My fault. 34 centimeters. My God, if that was 34 inches, we're talking about gigantic series size. Now you're talking my language, but yeah, just like 34 centimeters. You know, is one of the bigger Heisei figures. You know, in addition to Biollante and stuff like that. And you'll see in size comparisons with the Godzilla 1992 that is actually in perfect scale. So stay tuned for that. But pretty much, this is a very, very awesome piece. If you want one, please try to get your hands on one, whether it's a ripboard or standard. You know, you can't go wrong with it. If you miss your opportunity to get either one of these right now, don't worry. Diamond will be reissuing this figure come next year. I think January. So be on the lookout for that. So trust me. Regardless how you feel about the film, regardless how you feel how this Mechagodzilla compares to other Mechagodzilla incarnations, it really is a good piece to add to your collection. You know what I mean? And you know, like I mentioned before, I'm more of a fan of this figure than I am of the character, you know, and honestly, it's not really the only figure that I feel that way towards, like the Burning Godzilla. I like the Burning Godzilla figure more than the actual suit, you know what I mean? So there are exceptions to that rule. But the bottom line is, this is a very, 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 very good piece. Paint job, sculpt, articulation is really, really great on this guy. You would not be disappointed if you do try to get one at this point or sometime in January or next year when it does come out from Diamond. All right, so let's do a couple size comparisons and we'll wrap this review up with my thoughts of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. I will try and be kind. I will try and be kind, but I got to be honest here. So, yeah, let's go into the size comparisons. Okay, folks, this is the first size comparison. Yes, the Mechagodzilla gang is all here in full effect. Yes, from left to right, as you saw in the intro. First, Mechagodzilla 1974. The awesome Mechagodzilla 1975. Of course, the man in the hour, Mechagodzilla 1993. The next one, Kiryu 2002. And the final one, Kiryu 2003. Now, mind you, these are all the Mechagodzilla I have in my collection. Trust me, X Plus has made a good amounts of more amounts of Mechagodzilla figures. You know, we have the 25 centimeter 75, whereas the resin version or the vinyl version, a couple 25 centimeter 74s, the resin pieces of Kiryu 2002 and 2003. You know, they have done their fair share of Mechagodzilla incarnations. As a matter of fact, I want to give a huge shout out to Daniel Marino. Yes, Daniel Marino, if you're watching, man, I bow down to you, sir. I bow down to you because he has a sick Mechagodzilla collection. You know what I mean? Also, a huge shout out to Dale Champagne Martinez. He's a huge Mechagodzilla fan. I think he's more so a fan of the show, but still got to give a shout out to the Mechagodzilla fans out there. But yes, Daniel Marino, man, his collection of Mechagodzilla is sick. I'm trying to get up there with you. I don't think I can. But hopefully I will someday. But once again, I bow down to you, sir. But that's pretty much it with the roster of, you know, Mechagodzilla. You know, they finally made it. You know, the last missing piece was a 93. And as you can see, they all look well together. All 30 centimeter figures, and they look awesome. You know what I mean? One of Godzilla's greatest enemies. The full roster in full effect right here. All right, let's do one more size comparisons, and we'll be out of here. All right. All right, boom, boom, there it is, the last size comparison. And I mentioned this guy earlier. Of course, I have the X Plus 30 centimeter Godzilla 1992 with this Mechagodzilla 1993. And as you can see, they scale perfectly together. I've heard some people say that they're not in scale, but trust me, rewatch the film again. Mechagodzilla was substantially taller and bigger to Godzilla in the film, and these two scale with each other. Now, you have the Sakai 92. That one's a little bit smaller than this version of Godzilla, and it wouldn't scale well with this Mechagodzilla. So really, this is the version of Godzilla that you need for the perfect size comparison if you want to recreate the setup from the film. And honestly, like I mentioned before in other videos with this 92, since this 92 is somewhat stylized in a way, it's not really 100% accurate. To me, especially in the face, especially with the overall body right here, he kind of does pass for the 93 in a way, because 93 at this point, Godzilla was kind of getting thicker. They were increasing the dorsal plates on his back or whatever. His neck was kind of getting thicker, So to me, like I mentioned, the 92 can easily pass for the 93. You know what I mean? Because S Plus may make a 93 at some point, but I'm not gonna hold my breath for it. And if you can't hold your breath for it, just find you a 92. They're out right now. Diamond reissued them. I think late last year, and they're still online. You know what I mean? I think Flossie's Gifts may still have a couple. And like I said, Mechagodzilla, if you can't find one right now, will be up for reissue sometime next year. You know what I mean? So please, if you can, get your hand on both or either one of these figures. You will not go wrong with it to recreate the setup from Godzilla to Mechagodzilla 2 or 93. You know exactly what I mean. Alright, so let's just wrap this size comparison up, and we'll talk about Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2, 93, whatever you want to call it. Alright, let's go. Okay, folks, I'm back, and let's talk about Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 or 93 or whatever. And I'll just get this out of the way right now. Like I mentioned before, I love this figure. I really do. I love the fact that they finally, S Plus did, come out with this figure, making the Mechagodzilla roster complete. But I have to say, this film is one of my least favorite Godzilla films, but I appreciate the film for what it is. I appreciate what it tried to do. This time in this, in this part of the Heisei film series, they decided to make a super weapon to combat Godzilla. You know what I mean? And decided to bring back one of Godzilla's other, Showa foes. They did it before with the two previous films in the Heisei film series with King Ghidorah and Mothra. So now it was time for Mechagodzilla to have his time to shine. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I can't put my finger on it because from beginning to end, this really is a solid Godzilla film. And I've heard folks that regard it as the best the Heisei film series has to offer. And although I respect their opinions, I really don't see it that way. You know what I mean? It doesn't really grab me, as other Mechagodzilla films do. You know what I mean? I think maybe the reason is because maybe I hold the Showa Mechagodzilla films, or at least the Showa Mechagodzilla character, in such high regard that anything that comes behind him is, I won't gravitate to that version. You know what I mean? Although I respect the fact that there's some people that prefer the 93 as their favorite, or you may prefer Kiryu as your favorite, but for me, I don't know. I can't get behind this film. I can't get behind this version of Mechagodzilla. As a matter of fact, Rodan, Baby Godzilla, they're introducing this film. They're like my least favorite versions of all those respective characters. It's my least favorite version of Mechagodzilla. Baby Godzilla is my least favorite version of Godzilla's offspring, and that's my least favorite version of Rodan. But I respect the fact of what the film tried to do. They try to do something different, especially involving Mechagodzilla. He's not the alien pawn of an advanced alien race coming to destroy the world. Now he's a super weapon coming to defend mankind from Godzilla. You know what I mean? And I do respect what they tried to do. It's just that it's one of those films. It's just one of my low end films for me. As a matter of fact, Mothra 1992, this film is based Godzilla, are like one of my least favorite films. I think this is where the part of the Heisei film series where they started to lose some steam. With 84, 89, and 91 kind of kind of walk that line. But after that, when they started producing these films yearly, you can tell they were starting getting lazy with their creativity. You know, I mean, they had great budgets for what they needed to get these films done. You know, the sets were really, really good. But there were times where, you know, you saw a lot of green screening, and the special effects and at least the miniature work didn't really look as good as they did in '84 or Biollante. You know what I mean? And it progressively got, it looked lazy. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion, folks. Just my opinion. You know, once again, I do appreciate the film for what it tried to do, for what it did. You know what I mean? It was a great story from beginning to end. It's just not one of my favorites. You know what I mean? But I will give Mechagodzilla credit, this version of Mechagodzilla credit, for the fact that Mechagodzilla in all his films did some significant damage to Godzilla, whether it made him bleed real bad in '74, or just beat him down, you know, kick him like a football, whatever, or just beat him down to the ground, almost into powder in '75, or stabbing him, you know, in 2002, creating that wound or whatever, and then basically going after that same wound in 2003 that basically incapacitated Godzilla, where they were able to get the advantage on him. But this was the one that really came this close to killing Godzilla. You know what I mean? If it weren't for Fire Rodan, oh my God. If it wasn't for Fire Rodan, you know, giving his life force to Godzilla, you know, if you saw the film, you know what I'm talking about, spoiler alert. But if it wasn't for that, you could arguably say that Mechagodzilla really came close or killed Godzilla. Or at least he flatlined him, you know, when he attacked his secondary brain and Godzilla collapsed. He couldn't even stand up. And Super Mechagodzilla fired all his weapons on him, and Godzilla couldn't really defend himself, you know, whatever. If it wasn't for Fire Rodan, you could arguably say that Mechagodzilla would have killed Godzilla. So I really do give this version of Mechagodzilla some credit, you know what I mean? And that's why I always say that Mechagodzilla is probably one of his most toughest opponents, or maybe his deadliest opponents, considering what he has done to him in all the films that they be involved together. You know what I mean? But this version of Mechagodzilla, yes, get my utmost respect for almost taking down the King of the Monster. Yes, he did. He almost took him down, but close but no cigar. But with that being said, once again, this is the part where I normally say I recommend this film. I don't know, it just depends. You know what I mean? It just depends on when you come into it. Like I mentioned before, I came into the Godzilla film series with the Showa films, so I was exposed to the Showa Mechagodzilla, and that version blew me away. So Kiryu and this version of Mechagodzilla, you know, even though they're great machines and they're great kaijus, robotic kaijus, they just don't hold a candle to the Showa Mechagodzilla. That's just my opinion. But I do appreciate for what they did in their respective films, and I definitely appreciate what this particular version of Mechagodzilla did in his film, where he almost killed the King of the Monsters. He almost did. So that pretty much, you know, that's my thoughts of Godzilla Mechagodzilla 2. Once again, it's not one of my favorites, but I appreciate it for what it tried to do, and it is a solid entry. It is a solid Godzilla film from beginning to end. You know, it has tons of entertaining value. You know what I mean? And it's a solid entry in the Heisei film series. So why don't you give it a shot? You know, maybe you can pipe down in the comment section if you have seen the film, if you love it a lot. Maybe you can point some things out to me that maybe I'm missing. You know what I mean? But we can agree to disagree. You know what I mean? But until then, it's an okay film. It's okay for what it is. But once again, I like this figure better, more so than the film. You know what I mean? That pretty much concludes my review of the X Plus 30cm Mechagodzilla 1993 figure from the Heisei film, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 or Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 1993. You have any questions, holler me down in the comment section. Or hit me up on Facebook, Barry Mark Calloway. We'll definitely go from there. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Oh my God, a solid release from X Plus this year. The second solid Heisei release of from X Plus this year. You know what I mean? We got three: the Burning Godzilla, the Mechagodzilla, and the recent release Godzilla 1991 Jujutsu Kai Shinjuku Landing Edition, which that will be the next review. So be on the lookout for that. That review is coming real soon. But yes, three solid Heisei release from X Plus. Yes. You get a round of applause for that. But yes, get your hands on this figure where you can get it now, the Rip Boy now, or when it comes up for reissue from Diamond next year. Whatever you do, get your hands on this figure. The X Plus 30cm Mechagodzilla 1993 will not be disappointed. Alright? So I thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see y'all again on the next figure and move review. Alright? Y'all take it easy.